Hey there! In this video I'm going to be talking about triad shapes across the fretboard and patterns you can see how they connect together with root position, first inversion, and second inversion forms. Having a little bit of knowledge of basic theory is, it's important to, it's just as important as seeing the shapes, in my opinion. So with that being said, I'll talk a little bit about the construction of triads in theory, as well as demonstrating how they are laid out across the fretboard. So a triad, as you know, most of you know, is a 3-note chord based on the tonic, which is the root note, the third, and the fifth, and that refers to the 1, the 3, the first degree, the third degree, and the fifth degree of a scale. So if you look at the C major scale, this is an easy one to use examples with because all of the notes are natural, as in the scale goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, up to C for the octave. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. To get the first, and then if you just general knowledge is that the first chord of the scale is major, the second is minor, the third chord is minor, the fourth chord is major, the fifth chord is major, sixth chord is minor, it's the relative minor key. And the seventh chord is diminished. So you've got 3 major triads and 3 minor triads and 1 diminished triad for the leading tone. So it goes tonic, supertonic, mediant, mediant, subdominant, dominant. It's the fifth. Submediant for the relative minor, and the leading tone is the 7th degree of the scale. So basically we want to construct all the triads, the major, minor, and diminished triads of the C major scale. So we do that by there's a name for this, tertian triads, something like that, but skipping a note in the sequence C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, repeating. Starting with the note, skipping the next note, and then selecting the other one, skipping the next note, then selecting the other one. So if you have C, D, C, D, skip the D, E, use the E, F, skip the F, G, use the G. So C, E, G would be the C major triad. That pattern continues. So if you want the D minor triad, that's the supertonic, the 2nd degree of the scale, you would go D, skip the E, use the F, skip the G, use the A. So D, F, A. And that is a D minor triad. So it's important also to understand that the triads are oh shoot, I should have made an outline before I did this video. I'm kind of free balling it right here, so I'll make an updated video later where I actually plan it out. But if you look at the distance between D and F, you find a minor third is the distance. That is 3 half steps. You start on D, you go up a half step, and finish up 1 more half step, stop there. That's an F. So 3 half steps, or in other words, a step and a half, is a minor third. An interval is just the distance between any 2 given notes. So, the formula for a minor triad goes starting from the root note in root position, which means the 1, the 3, and the 5. In this case, it would be the 1, the lowered third by a semitone, and then the 5th. The formula would be root, minor third, and then a major third is the interval between F and A. So D, F, A. D, minor third up, F, major third up, which is 2 full steps or 4 half steps, to A, which is the major third. So it's a minor third and then a major third, going consecutively from note to note. The formula for a major triad is a major third from the root, and then from the next note up, so C to E, major third, then E to G, minor third. So it's just the opposite. Major third, minor third for a major triad in root position. Minor third, major third for a minor triad in root position. Then for the diminished chord in C major, in the C major key, the C major scale, is the B diminished. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, leading tone. And that is B, D, F. B to D is a minor third, D to F is a minor third. So that formula again, minor third for the diminished triad. Now that information is consistent in all major keys. So anything on the circle of fifths, C, G, D, etc., all the way around the circle, any of those keys, the tonic, the supertonic, the median, they all follow the formula of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Leading tone is diminished. And they also follow and their respective triads are therefore using the same interval patterns. Now, you can compare major scales to their parallel minor. Here's an example. So if you take a look, and now it's important to know this information as well, how all major scales have the same formula, like I said earlier, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, finally half step to get up to the next octave. They all share that, and what was I going to say? Anyway, if here's the example. If I compare D, oh yes, I remember. You want to know how many sharps and flats are in each major scale, all 12 major scales. And as we said earlier, the C major scale is a good one to make examples with because all of the notes are natural, so it's just easy to work with and conceptualize. The next one up in the circle of fifths would be the G major scale, and it's the next one up because it has one sharp in the scale of G major. So, and that happens to be an F. So there's a way to memorizing, there's a mnemonic device you can use to memorize how many sharps and flats are in the key. And it is, as I learned it, Father Charles gets drunk at every bar mitzvah, or Father Charles goes down and ends battle, representing the order of sharps. So if we have C at the top of the circle, no sharps or flats, then we have G over here with the F sharp, Father, and we have the key of D, F sharp, C sharp, Father Charles, A, Father Charles gets, E, Father Charles gets drunk, etc. around the circle, right? So, and that's how the key signatures work as well. When you have the lines and the spaces and the whatever that treble clef for, we're using the treble clef on the guitar. So you just write in the sharps on the spaces or lines. And that's, yeah, your key signatures come straight from the circle of fifths. So anyway, that's important because when you are figuring out the triad, say you're not in the key of C where all the notes are not, some of the notes are not natural, like some, in the key of F you have a B flat in there and then the rest are natural. So what you want to do, oh, and I should mention there on the other side of the circle of fifths there's an order of flats, so you can just look that up online. It's, I think, BGCF, BEADGCF, starting on F, which has the B flat, and then B flat has a B flat and an E flat, then A flat has a B flat, E flat, wait, F, B flat, E flat. Okay, so F has a B flat, B flat has a B flat and an E flat, E flat has a B flat, an E flat, and an A flat. So yeah, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, F flat, which would be an E, but we do that for writing purposes. Because here's the thing, you don't, that this whole system is devised so that you don't see a G in your scale and also a G sharp in your scale, or a G in your scale and also a G flat in your scale, or a G in your scale and also a G sharp. If we're just talking about regular major scale, the 12 major scales, it just makes things easier on the brain to see a bunch of different letter notes instead of repeating ones, if you can, and you can for the major scales. So that's why that system is in place. And knowing the sharps and flats is important because for a scale like B flat, we know it has a B flat and an E flat in there. So we would start with B flat and then just list the notes up. So how does it go? B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. But we're in the key of B flat. So we make the B flat a B flat and the E flat, and then we change the E to an E flat. And that is what makes it consistent with the pattern of whole step, half step, whole step, half step, giving us that major scale. So, and that's what you're going to count and build your triads off of, whether you're using that skipping method of skipping the note, or if you want to think about it intervallically with those formulas. Minor third, major third is a minor chord, major third, minor third is a major chord, minor third is a diminished chord. You have to know what the note names are, and that also helps you out on the fretboard and with understanding. So if I have, see, this is what I'm still practicing this. I don't have my triads down because, just quite honestly, it just takes daily practice and like drilling yourself, almost like note cards. You could start with that if you want. I definitely recommend spelling out all the triads and every key on graph paper, but also playing them. And when you just play a random triad, okay, I'll start with an easy one like A major. So in the key of A major, there are 3 sharps. Father Charles gets F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. And you can think about it like this too. Whatever the last sharp is in that list, it's always going to be 1/2 step below the actual key. So F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. There's my A sharp on the 4th fret there. 1/2 step over is A. Okay, now, anyway, we're going to construct the triad. We know that in the key, okay, we want an A major triad, so we're not even thinking about keys and scale degrees of the parent major scale right now. We're just thinking about a specific triad, and this is where you would just want to use the interval formula. So we think major third, minor third from the root. So we start on the root A, because that's the triad we've chosen. Now we want a major third, and from the 6th string, I call it the 6th string, the low E, to the 5th string, the A string. This is what a major third looks like. You do it with 2 fingers, you can see better. And that shape will change when you get to the G string, the G and the B string, and the B to the E string, but it's the same. Those are all major thirds. So A, major third to C sharp, and then from here a minor third, and a minor third looks like that. And it looks like a minor third looks like that. There's your minor third. See, just playing with intervals is pretty cool, actually. So you've got the major third and then the minor third. When you play them one at a time, it's an arpeggio. Right? A major triad. So you've got the A, the C sharp, and the E. Only one sharp in that triad. So root position triads are pretty easy to visualize, I think, more so than some inversion of, say, a diminished triad. If I take I'm just going to randomly select, I know this to be a diminished triad shape. Now, that's the thing about these shapes, okay? These triad shapes, you can move them anywhere. Just like you can move a bar chord anywhere. And in fact, there are triads, these little shapes are, you put them together and they build bar chords. So let me show you that first, because this does really get interesting. And you can, after you watch some of these videos that I'm gonna make, I do recommend that you map it out for yourself and, you know, just draw 6 lines on graph paper with a ruler representing the strings. Put the low E string on the bottom. So here's your high B, E, your B, G, D, A, low E on the bottom, and separate them with vertical lines to create the frets. And map out your fretboard starting with all the natural notes, and you will see the different octave shapes. That's important. Like that. Oops. I think there's a few more. Whatever, that's all I've got right now, but you'll see how all the notes go together, and all you have to do is remember that the E and the F are a semitone, which is a half step, also known as a minor second, just 1 over apart. E and F, as well as C and B, are 1 apart, and it goes B to C, right? B, C, B, C, E, F, E, F, like that, and map all the natural notes out. And that will give you, important to note, just the major, all the major, minor, and the 1 diminished triad of the C major scale, because that's just all the natural notes. So you could map it out 1 key at a time, and then just when you map out the fretboard for the G major scale, you would just be, instead of doing the F, you would be doing the F sharp, okay? Now, 2 examples that I'm going to get back to now. Let's start with the very popular bar chord. And maybe some people don't know this until later, sometimes well later, after they've very first learned it. The E shape bar chord, and there's the A major chord with the E shape. And I say with the E shape because, by the way, this video isn't, I should have prefaced this in the beginning. This is for beginners. I'm certainly not an expert, but I think I have a good way of conveying information, because I've painstakingly figured it mostly out for myself. And I would say this too: all learning is self-learning, even when you're getting instruction, because you have to translate that in your brain still. And some of us learn slower than others, and that's okay, because, you know, when you learn it, then you really know it. And it's, but to really know it, you gotta, and I'm not there. You gotta practice it and think about it and put it on your ceiling before you go to sleep, and just kind of, you know, visualize it. Anyway, enough of that. The E-shaped bar chord, it took me all day. It was probably 13 or 14, probably 13. And my dad showed me these, the A shape and the E shape. And I didn't know they were the A shape and the E shape back then, until I had a guitar teacher tell me that. Great guy. And explaining that, here's, as you know, the caged chords, C-A-G-E-D, the cowboy chords, all these open chords in the first few frets of the guitar: C, A, G, E, D, caged, right? Those are what these bar chords are based on. So the E shape. You don't really want to play it like that, so instead of using, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of using your first finger here, use your second. Start the shape with your second finger on the G string, the third string, and then put these ones here. And then with your first finger, you bar the rest. Like that, right? So that's why it's an A chord with the E shape. And then you can't really see that this is an A shape unless you play it like this, but it's kind of weird playing it like that for most people. Yeah, sure. It's just, why do that when you can just bar the rest if your fingers allow you to do that, which for most people it's, anyway, it takes all day to, because you're developing the callus and, oh God, how do I press that down? I'm only getting like 3 or 4 notes, right? But you get it eventually. And then it's like, wow, that was incredibly easy, you know? So the A shape, right? A shape, right? You see that? Yeah. There you go. C. Oh, the C shape, right? Oop. C shape. You want to move that. So first of all, instead of with your first finger on that B string there, playing that C note, you want to use your second finger, and again, this is for the barring later. And that's just some random chord. It's kind of tricky to play it here. Gets a little easier when you start going up the fretboard more. Or I'm just not sounding that great right now. That's better. See, it's easier there. You really got to bar that one. This is one of the trickier ones. So this is E major with the C shape. This is an E major with the A shape. This is an E major with the G shape, because, and again, not like this, but like this, so you can bar it. Hard to play up here, especially on an acoustic. Jeez. Ouch. It's like that. Or, well, that would be the triad. Okay. G. And then with the E shape, oh God. Can't even, not happening, right? But you see, and then the D shape. See that little D shape up there. Yikes. Now again, so these are overarching. There are extensions of these bar chord shapes that are actually, I call it the full. It's just what I call it, the full bar chord shape. I don't know. It's like it's the full triad shape of the bar chord shape, right? So, for instance, with the E shape, this is the bar chord, right? But if I want to see all the triads that are in that shape, I actually start here, which is. There's your major scale for the A. So I'm starting on the third here. So within that E shape, I'm going to call it major E shape, because that's what it is. You have a couple different inversions in there. You're starting with the third here. So when you start with the third, and then which then the pattern would go 3, 5, 1. If you start with the 5, it goes 5, 1, 3. And when you start with the 1, it goes 1, 3, 5. And that repeats. And we're talking about all the strings being right, you know, one string to the next with that. So here I'm doing the 3, 5, 1, which is when you start with the 3, it's called the first inversion. Then I'm doing the 5, 1, 3. When you start with the 5, it's called the second inversion. Now I'm doing the 1, 3, 5. I love this shape. It's a great shape. Oh, say can you see? It's a beautiful shape. 1, 3, 5 is root position, and then 3, 5, 1. Back to another first inversion. So in that set there of four triads, distinct, but all major A major triads. You have 2 of them are first inversion, meaning starting on the 3rd. Those 2, and then you have 1 root position, and then you have 1 second inversion. Now, where it gets really interesting, and it took me a while to figure this out, and I figured it out, I'm proud to say, by myself, even though it took me a long time to get there, and putting the puzzle pieces together, using a lot of graph paper, and then making copies that I saved and wrote out neatly and put a laminate over so I can put it in a binder. And I highly recommend that you do that. It's a great way to study the fretboard. We'll get back to the other shapes and because each one of these overarching shapes, because I call them big shapes, actually. That's what I call them. Maybe someone else calls them something else, but honestly, I don't even see people talking about this much. Like they talk about triads, which is great, but I haven't seen someone, maybe they're gatekeeping, I'm not sure, but I think this is the best way. It's the easiest way for me to look at it, and I'm a pretty slow learner, so I'm hoping this video can help some people conceptualizing how these triads are built. But yeah, for each big shape is the big shape, right? All 4 of those together is the big shape. There's a major version of it, a minor version of it, and a diminished version of it. And that's where spelling out your triads comes in handy, so you can identify the note quickly. Because you don't want to say, and I'll explain this now. You don't want to say, here's a great example. Let's go with the harder shape, the diminished. Let's do the E shape, like we just did, with the A chord, except let's make the A chord diminished. So this is why it's important to think about your notes. We know that A major is A, C sharp, E. Now, what do we do if we want a diminished A? Well, we're not thinking of a particular scale, so we're not going to build by skipping thirds. So we're going to go back to that interval formula. So instead of root, major third, minor third, we're going to go root, minor third, minor third. It's important to note though, on this, where this A major shape of the E shape starts, it doesn't start on the root, okay? So the interval pattern is going to be a little different, but I'm not going to think about it like that right now. I'm just going to start with the 1, the root in where in the shape is. So where is that? So first, again, it's good to just memorize your triads, honestly. So instead of A, C sharp, E, we're going to go A, C, because that's the minor third there. and then C to E flat is another minor third. So A, C, E flat. So where's my A? A, C, there's a minor third. E flat, because E flat. So that's a root position right there, okay? Comparing it to the other root position for the major, what did we do? We lowered the third degree and we lowered the fifth degree, each by a half step. So these chords sound good together in this little progression, but they're not diatonic. They don't have a real scale that they fit into. It's like probably combine. You could think of it as combining or borrowing chords from another key. Okay. I'm just showing this so you can see that you're moving the third and the fifth down a half step, moving them up a half step, moving them down, right? So that's your A diminished triad. A, C, E flat. And then the minor would be A, C, E. You can hear, it's important to hear what major sounds like, what minor sounds like, what diminished sounds like. These three distinct sounds that you will find throughout all of the major keys and in all of music, and all kinds of different scales will contain all of these basic fundamental triads. A major, A minor, diminished, minor, diminished, minor, diminished, minor, major. There you go. So back to the diminished example. So we want to complete this pattern. Starting on the flat, I like to say lowered third, because it's not always flat or sharp depending on the key. So I say lowered, or I say raised, unless the note is actually a flat or sharp. So lowered third, lowered fifth, root. And that gives you your first shape in here. Oops. Oop. It's easy to confuse these because that's a different diminished triad. And that's the same as here. This is the major version, right? Now let's diminish it. Now, and so if I said this is a, I gotta charge this. This is the third, starting on the third is the first inversion. First inversion, second inversion, root position, first inversion. First inversion, second inversion, root position, first inversion. Oops, wrong shape there, buddy. Make some cool little jingles like that. I'll do the minor shape for it later or not, but that is the you can map that out. Like I said, start with any key, figure out the notes of that key with the Father Charles Gets Drunk or whatever, and then put your sharps in or your flats, B, G, C, F for the flats, and then map the fretboard for that key, and then just start building the triads, or just circle the notes of one particular triad throughout the fretboard at a time, and you will see these big shapes emerge before your very eyes, and it will be very enlightening. I guarantee you that. And there's no learning like self-learning, because all learning is ultimately self-learning, in my opinion. So, where was I going to go? Here's a cool little thing that we should be aware of, just like the octave, how the like mapping the fret, understanding the fretboard. Oops. That. Finding all the notes, right? The octaves. There it is. Wait. I'm not that good, guys. Sorry. Finding a triad. Okay, so finding a triad. I call this finding the unison shape, the alternate unison shape of a triad. That's what I call this, what I'm about to show you. So I'm going to pick a random triad shape. I know I haven't shown you them all yet, but here's what's the shape I didn't show you actually? Here's a shape I didn't show yet. Probably tell that's a diminished shape just by hearing it, and you can even see the pattern of the minor thirds, minor third, right? This is a BDF. It is a B diminished triad, which belongs to the key of C. It's important to note that the diminished triads only every note, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the ones in between, they all have a diminished triad, but that diminished triad only belongs to one major key, one of the 12 major keys. So for the major triads and the minor triads, they belong to multiple keys, and there's a system for seeing that as well. And again, if you write them all out, you can do it on graph paper yourself. But anyway, with the B diminished triad here, I could go on and complete the pattern for you, so I'll just do that real quick. I forget which big shape. I don't know if it's the three big shapes come in three, like based on the bar chord patterns. They come on three shapes, just the C shape, the G shape, and the E shape. So it's one of those. It's probably the G shape, I'm guessing. I don't remember at the top of my head. Pretty sure it's the G shape. By the way, the G shape combines the A shape. The A shape is toward the bottom. G shape starts up here. They're one and the same. The C shape combines the D shape. And what is it? C, E, G. So yeah, that covers all five for caged. What was I gonna do with this B diminished? Oh yeah, we're gonna do the unison. So actually we can't do it with the B because we run out of frets, because I'd have to start over here. I got two of the notes. They sound a little different, but they are really pretty much the same pitch. That's a whole weird other little topic there that I don't really understand much about yet. So let's move it up to C actually. The C diminished root position. And you can't even do it there actually, because the best you got is a C minor. But I need to lower that fifth as well, which that fifth, that G needs to become a G flat, because we need C, E flat, G flat, but this is a G, C minor. So again, so let's move it up one more half step. Now, okay, I wanted to make this point, and I'm glad we're here. So, do I call this a C sharp diminished triad, or do I call it a D flat diminished triad? I do not call it a D flat diminished triad, because I would have to say D flat, E, F. And that's just weird, because going again with looking at triads in their major keys, because of the tertian system of skipping one note and using a note, skipping a note, and then using the next note, etc. It goes against that. And if you put it into so C sharp diminished belongs to, since it's a diminished triad, it belongs to only one major key. We're strictly talking about major keys in their modes right now, okay? We'll talk about modes later. It's the same shit. It's the same stuff. It belongs to one key, which is D major, just like that. Half step up, because it's the leading tone back to the tonic. Those are diatonic, meaning they are in a particular major scale. So if that's the leading tone, its major scale is D major scale. D major. So that's why we call it not a D flat diminished, rather we call it a C sharp diminished, because like I said earlier, we don't want repeating notes. If I call this D flat diminished and then I say it's part of D major scale, that's just bizarre. We don't want to repeat notes. So that's why. And as you map them all out, start by spelling them out. So this is what you do first. In my recommendation, you draw the circle of fifths. You write in all the sharps and flats on the circle of fifths. And then, separately on a different page, you write out the triads. You spell out all the triads for the chords in every chord of every major key. Now you can put them on note cards after that and drill yourself. So that because seriously, you don't want to call that a D flat diminished. Just trust me. As you start doing it on paper, you'll see why. So now we're gonna go do the unison triad shape thing. So I ran out of frets, so that's why I moved it way up here to C sharp diminished. So again, the shape of water. Just kidding. See, I already forget it when I go up. God, I gotta charge this. Oh my God. Whatever. You get the gist there. One more time. Just going down. Or should I say up? There you go. Okay, that's a polychord. There we go. There's the triad. Now, the unison. Can I do it? Yes, I can. We have that open G. That is a diminished triad, my friends. It's the same notes here. C sharp, E, G. Minor third. C sharp, E, G. So when you're doing the unison shapes, it's the same shape. It just looks a little different because we're using an open. That would make it look similar, right? I'm playing the open though, right? There you go. Let's do it up here. Let's do it on D, D diminished. So now you can really see it. Unison, meaning they are in the same pitch. They're not an octave apart. So those are your unison, the unison equivalent triad shape. But what if I wanted to do an octave, okay? What if I want to do an octave? So with the unison, from the root to the next root, we have a span of 7 frets. That's, or sorry, 5 frets for unison. And you can do that by going 10th fret minus 5th fret. 10 minus 5 is 5. So a span of 5 frets. 5 frets down. Starting here. Going 5 frets up. Okay, there you have it. So that's with unison. Now, octave distant triad shapes, the octave equivalent. Now that's a 7 fret span. So let's take E diminished. I want to do the octave, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go up 5 frets. I'm going to find the next E. So I'm on the 7th fret. I'm going to go up 5 frets to the 12th fret. Oh, sorry, that's wrong. I just did a unison again. 5 frets is a unison, duh. So I want to go up 7 frets. Or in this case, actually, since I'm already starting up, I'm going down 7 frets. So, but I can't do that because I can't play a diminished triad starting there because that's the lowest freaking note on the guitar already. So, better example. I'll just go with A diminished here. It's easier for me just on the flow, the top of my head. 5th fret, right? That's our root. I'm going to go up to the 12th fret. And that's what I mean by an octave equivalent triad shape. Octave apart to the next octave of the root. Lower octave. 12 minus 5, 5th fret. 12th fret minus 5th fret is 7, a span of 7. So octave equivalent triad shapes have a span of 7 notes, and unison triad shapes have a span of 5 notes. Okay, well, I guess I'll just end this by, I'll just go over each of the big shapes and their minor version, their major version, their minor version, and their diminished version. And yeah, so that, if you think about it, so I said we got the C shape, the G shape, and the E shape. 3 big shapes. Each of them has a minor, a major version, a minor version, and a diminished version. So that's 9 right there. And then you've got 4 triads in that shape. So, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 3 big shapes, 3 versions of them, and then 4 shapes within each one. So you can figure out the math on that. But again, some of them will be even though some of them will be the same shape but just on a different string, like this. Give you an example. That's a triad shape. That's the same shape, a different chord, right? And it's on a different set of strings. That's what I'm getting at. It's on a different set of strings, but it's the same shape. So you'll see some of that in there. So you'll see some repeating like that. And then you'll also see another way of repeating, which will look like this. It's another example. This is a C sharp diminished. I always forget if this is a first inversion or a second inversion. Well, that's why I have my notes. I just don't want to look at it right now. It doesn't matter right now. But the point is, you'll have repeating shapes. So how do I repeat this shape? Here's a good one. How do I repeat this shape with, how do I say this? By creating a different shape, but that has it's the exact same sound. It's the exact same inversion. The exact same pitches. So it's not an octave, it's a unison shape, but it's a different shape. Same chord. So first I identify this G here. I identify the lowest note of the chord of the triad. And then I move it up. So I want to do unison here. I just happen to know it's going to look like a different kind of shape because I'm playing around with the G string and the B string right here. And whenever you have either of those or both, you are you're going to have a different looking shape with the unison. So unison is 5 frets, so we go up to the 10th fret. Oops. How am I going to do it? That's how it is. Just want you to see that there. Sounds a little different because I don't know if that's referred to as timbre or what that, but even though they're the same pitch supposedly, and they are, it's got a slightly different ring to it. Someone in the comments can tell me what that's called. Jingle all the way. So there you have that. Okay, so that's all really important stuff. So yeah, again, I'll just finish this video by doing the 3 big shapes with all their whatevers. So we already did this one. We did the E shape. I did the diminished form. Whoops. Well, let me try it again. Diminished form. There we go. And the minor form. You can hear that minor, even though it's a first inversion. So that's for the E shape, right? Now let's do the G shape. Let's do it right here on D. Almost done here, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. The G shape. Oh God. Yikes. That's painful, right? See, using a capo is for cheaters, man. There you go. Yikes. Okay. So let's break that down. Shape, right? Because that's the true shape, the extended. I don't want to say extended. It's the big shape. One more time. The G shape. And you can see how like I said earlier, the G and the A shape are related right there. Now let's minorize it. Ooh, this diminishing ice. Here we go. I love these chords. Absolutely love these chords. These triad shapes. There we go. And I forgot the... There we go, root position. G shape starts with the root position on the top. It's so confusing. You could say bottom is the lowest, right? Now let's diminishize it. Yeah, it was the G shape. Right on. Jingle all the way. Okay, so there's your G shape forms. What is it? C shapes. So let's do that. Let's do it here on E. It's a good spot. This is just, I love that. I don't practice Santeria. Ooh, we can even play the opens because they got those open E's. But we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna bar. Ding dong. Okay. So let's break it down. So we're gonna play the complete big shape here. So that's just the bar chord, right? But the big shape is gonna start. So the E shape starts with the second inversion. It starts with the fifth. Right there, like that. And the root. 5, 1, 3 to the first inversion, and then back to the root. Sorry, second inversion. Jesus. So you can see how the D shape is contained inside of the inside of the C shape. One more time. Now, let's minorize it. So starting on the fifth stays the same, root stays the same, third gets lowered. Here we go. Love these shapes, absolutely love these shapes. Oh, little D minor baby right there. Now let's diminishize it. So we're gonna make the big shape though, right? So we start with the lowered third, the 5, and the 1. Wait, sorry. Lowered third. Wait. God, I'm confusing myself right now, guys. Let me start by looking at minor. Yeah, this is right. C shape. Very similar to G shape. I like to bar that. Another way of looking at it is like this. God, I don't know if you guys can it looks like my fingers are getting in the way of the actual view here, so apologize for that. It's just the angle. There you go, if you can see that. I just bar. So that's 3rd fret, G string, 1st finger, barring all, and then you put your 3rd finger on the 5th fret B string, like that. Now let's find the unison of this. This will be cool because we know it's messing around with the B and the G string, so it's gonna look different, and that's fascinating, right? It's just cool, right? So these triads are super slick, I'm telling you. So unison, 5 notes up from 3 is 8th fret. Oops. There it is. Jeez. And now we remember this, we can go up again. Since we started so high, we can show all these unison shapes. Exercise right there. I don't do it all. I'm doing it right now with you guys. Fuck, what was that triad again? We're doing I don't even remember. Was that an E diminished? Let's see. E diminished would have E, G, and a B flat. Is that what we have? Yeah, we got a G there. We got a E there, and we got a B flat there. Yeah, it's E diminished. And you can complete the big pattern here, right? I'm not even thinking about what the big shapes are called right now. I just know that I'm just doing 3 notes at a time and going down 1 string at a time. So I got the 4th, the 3rd, and the 2nd string here. So now I'm going to do the 3rd string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string here. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd string, 2nd, 3rd, 4th string, 3rd, 4th, 5th string. Then I'm going to do 4th, 5th, 6th string. And that's how I think about the triads. And it's harder when you're playing with yourself. Playing with yourself. Definitely hard to think about triads when you're doing that. Jeez, what was I? Oh God, where was I? I'm embarrassed. It's hard to think about it when you're playing alone, or let alone with a group of people, when you're like, oh God, what triad is that? So it's a lot easier when you see a root position shape. So I definitely recommend memorizing what those look like first, because then you can just, oh, the lowest note, that's my chord name, right? And then for root position, but especially the 1st and 2nd inversion ones, it's good to think about the unison idea. So just five notes. If I want to go 5 notes down, I'm on the 9th fret, so -5 is the 4th. Oops, is that? There we go. You might play around with the shape until you find the right shape. See, I always have a hard time memorizing the diminished ones because they're altered. That extra tone is altered, so it makes it look a little more confusing. So yeah, I don't think the most important thing is to like necessarily think about, ooh, what's the big shape here, but you want to be thinking about where's the flippin' root at, okay? Where's the root, because that tells you what the inversion is, if there is any inversion. And that's you want to know where the root is, because that's where you're getting the sound. That's where you're getting the main sound. What the inversions do is they elevate your playing and spice things up, so you can, just make things sound different, right? Because if you're stuck playing just bar chords all the time, they're good, but they're even better when you sprinkle triads in them and arpeggiate them a little bit. I'll give you a little example. yeah, I can't. I'm not prepared with material, guys. Sorry. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that a lot of people got something out of this. Again, it's intended for beginner and even intermediate, I suppose. But yeah, you know, just if you feel like you're ever getting stale or hitting a wall and you don't know this stuff yet, I think everyone should know this stuff because it really is the building blocks of music. And you know, you don't really need to shred to make good music. And if you do shred, you probably know this stuff already. But if you don't, I would, you know, it probably would help you improve still. So again, I'm a firm believer that the triads are a very important concept in music. And I've been seeing a lot of triad videos out there lately, but again, I haven't seen anyone really break it down like this yet. So I just wanted to put it out there for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know if I'll be making any more videos or not, but I hope you enjoyed it, and happy playing. And you know, see you around. Have a good one.